Okay, so some other component modeling tools that are helpful would be the extrude tool. And extrude, let me go ahead and create another cube. What extrude does is it allows you to basically add material based on the material that's already here. So for example, if I right click and go to face mode and I go to translate, and let me turn off snap to point because that's not helpful at this point. And I go to move, this face, I'm moving this face, but what I can do by hitting extrude is duplicate this face and then perform more operations on it. So I'm just going to hit extrude. And now it's saying, how do you want to extrude this face? I have scale options here, which are indicated by these cubes, and I have translate options. So what I can do is I can translate that duplicated face up. And now you see I'm basically adding material to my object. I can also scale it down. So if I want to do something like a kind of step, I can click on any of these. This is helpful. Click on these scale indicators, and then this center uniform one will pop up. So my first extrude will be to just extrude a face into the interior of the original face, and then click off my object, reselect this face, hit extrude again, and pull it up. Click off of it, click the face, hit extrude again, select the scale to bring up the uniform scale in the middle, and pull that in. Select this face, extrude again, pull up. So now what I'm doing is I'm generating a kind of building or some kind of stepped object really easily, starting with that cube and then adding material using extrude. Again, attribute editor, I have all of these nodes for every time I've used that extrude. And so I'm going to want to right click and go to object mode, and then edit, delete all by type history. And that will clean up my attribute editor. Now, bevel allows me to select edges. I can select this whole object. Bevel just adds a bevel, a beveled edge. It adds edges surrounding those edges to create a kind of chamfer. So for example, let me select these edges. I'm just shift selecting around these particular edge loops here. If I hit 4, and let me go ahead actually and go to object mode. As I'm kind of toggling around this, it's toggling in a weird way. So if I hit F, it will frame up my object. And now I'm able to kind of rotate around it more easily. So I've selected these edges, and then if I hit 4 to go to wireframe just to see that, look through my object and see the ones I've selected. Go back to my shading mode here, and then if I hit bevel, it creates that kind of chamfer. And I can say with this little bevel option that comes up, well, how thick is that chamfer? How many segments, like how rounded over is it? And then I can say I want to either have it be mitering. What am I looking for here? We should be able to, and I guess it's not part of this any longer, but change the type of chamfer it is. I guess here this is what the bevel tool offers, which is like how many segments, the fraction, the depth. Let's see if I turn this on. There we go. The depth will do it. So it either has a kind of convex or concave form to the bevel, and it kind of interprets a type of curve. So this is when you're trying to add details to, let's say, interiors or something. Using bevel might help make you, if you're generating a some kind of furniture or something, you might want to use this bevel tool. The bridge tool allows you to, let's see, the bridge tool, for example, let's take this object here and let's go to the attribute editor and just clean up all of this. Edit, delete all by type history. And let's duplicate this object. Okay, what the bridge tool allows me to do is generate faces and forms between where there is none. It's hard for me to describe it, but let me like just delete these two faces off of these. I have these forms here, and I have these two faces that have holes in them, basically. I just deleted those faces. What we can do with bridge, for example, here, if I delete this face, the bridge tool allows me to, using my edges, select two edges that correspond, that we want to bridge, we want to fill with the face. So I select those two edges and hit bridge, and it will fill that face. I can also do that here. I have these two objects, but I believe I need to combine them first before I'm able to use the bridge function. So select these two, I'm going to hit combine, then I'm going to right click and use edge mode, select these two edges, and now hit bridge. And let's select these two edges, hit bridge. Now I'm getting this green because it's saying we're not sure which side of this form we want to have material information applied to. So let me try to select these edges and say create, and see if I can't add, modify, if I can't add normals. See if there are any first. Let's go to display, polygons, and say face normals for this object. So display, polygons, normals. All right, and so you see here that there are, yeah, there should be. So I'm not sure what this green is really indicating here. Let me select the whole object and maybe add a new material to it there. Okay, so for some reason it wasn't maintaining the material information. These face normals just show you the direction at which they are projecting whatever the material information is. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. There's also a lot of other information here that you can turn on. Things like face centers, which give you kind of invisible points that you can align things to that are at the center of the faces. So this is all under display. So I'm going to turn back off face normals. And I'm going to also display and turn off face centers. Okay, so I just needed to add a new material, and I did that under the rendering tab here and added a Lambert material, and that provided it. So, okay, so that's bridge. Back to the modeling toolkit, and we have here is add divisions is our last tool under the components tool. So if adding divisions is important if we're going to be kind of sculpting this model, and I want to add overall complexity and higher resolution to my model in order to be able to sculpt it. So I can do that really easily here by increasing the, this might quit on me because I clicked it too many times too fast. There we go. So now you can see we have a really dense model with a lot of different, with a lot of faces. And this will allow us to sculpt this really easily because there's a lot of vertices when using the sculpting tools, but we're not going to get into that yet. But that's what add divisions does.